Joseph's late-night visitors. In the small town of Bethlehem, whose very name means house of bread in Hebrew, lived a humble baker named Joseph. His bakery was the beating heart of the community, for in those days, families rarely maintained their own ovens. Instead, they brought their dough to skilled bakers like Joseph, whose ovens burned ceaselessly, welcoming loaves from all corners of the town. Joseph wiped his brow, exhausted from another long day of kneading, shaping, and baking. The ovens in his small Bethlehem bakery had been blazing non-stop since before dawn, and now, well past sunset, he was finally preparing for the next day's work. "No rest for the weary," he muttered, measuring out flour for the morning's first batch. The streets outside had grown quiet, most of the town's residents long since retired to their homes. Joseph barely noticed the brilliant star that had appeared in the sky, too focused on his tasks to pay much attention to celestial matters. A knock at the door startled him from his routine. Frowning, he opened it to find 3 men standing there, their rich robes and dignified bearing marking them as persons of importance. "Good evening," the tallest of the 3 said. "We apologize for the late hour, but might we trouble you for a moment of rest and perhaps some bread for our journey?" Despite his weariness, Joseph found himself inviting them in. These were clearly no ordinary travelers, and his mother had always taught him to be hospitable, especially to those of high station. He brought out his best challah, still warm from the oven, and set it before them. As the men ate, Joseph busied himself with his work, trying not to appear as if he were listening to their conversation. But snippets reached his ears nonetheless. "The celestial alignments were unmistakable," one man was saying, his voice low but excited. "Jupiter and Saturn in conjunction, just as the ancient texts predicted." "Indeed," another replied. "And that star! Have you ever seen its like?" "Never," the third man agreed. "It can only mean one thing. The king foretold by the prophets has been born." Joseph's hand stilled for a moment, but he quickly resumed his work. What did he know of stars and prophecies? His world was one of yeast and flour, of carefully tended fires and perfectly timed risings. The men's conversation continued, touching on their long journey from lands far to the east, guided by the star that had appeared. They spoke of ancient writings and complex calculations, of star charts and prophecies. Joseph caught mentions of Persia and Arabia and lands even further away. Finally, the men rose to leave. Joseph gave them extra loaves for their journey, waving away their offers of payment. As they departed, the tallest turned back to him. "Thank you, Baker," he said solemnly. "Your generosity will not be forgotten. Great things are happening in Bethlehem this night." It wasn't until days later, when word spread through the town of a special birth and the visit of foreign dignitaries, that Joseph began to understand the significance of that late-night visit. He had entertained wise men, scholars and astronomers from distant lands, men who had traveled far in search of a prophesied king. As he worked his dough that day, Joseph marveled at the strange turns life could take. He, a simple baker, had played a small but memorable role in an event that people would be talking about for years to come. And it had all happened right here, in his little bakery in the town of Bethlehem. This has been an excerpt from the book Bread, A Journey Through History, Science, Art, and Community by Henry Hunter. For more captivating stories like this one, and a wealth of delicious recipes, click the link in the description to get your copy or find us on Amazon. Explore the rich history and art of bread making and bring the essence of community into your kitchen. Get the book and start your bread making journey today.